For years, the Indian Test cricket team felt like an absolute fortress. I mean, they were just unbeatable at home and a team you really feared when they traveled abroad. But lately, you can see that fortress is starting to show some serious cracks. So in this explainer, we're going to look way past the scoreboard and really deconstruct the real reasons behind this fall from grace.
So what's really going on here? How do you go from being invincible to so inconsistent? Is this just a temporary dip in form for a few key players? Or is there something much, much deeper? A more systemic problem at play? That's the central mystery we're going to try and solve today.
All right, first things first, let's talk about what everybody can see, the on-field symptoms. You can think of these as the cracks that are starting to appear right there on the pitch, the kinds of issues that have fans and commentators seriously worried that something is fundamentally broken.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. On one side, you had the old Indian batting lineup, an absolute fortress, built on rock-solid technique and incredible discipline. But now, we're seeing something a lot more fragile. It's heavily influenced by that T20 mindset, the short-inning, big-shot approach. And that's leading to some serious inconsistency and a real lack of technical patience.
And hey, it's not just the batting that's got people worried. The bowling attack, which is still incredibly talented, has become really unbalanced. You've got frequent injuries sidelining key fast bowlers, and the spinners just aren't as consistent as they used to be. Plus, opponents are getting better at countering Indian spin, even at home. It all adds up to one critical failure. The team is struggling to take those 20 wickets you absolutely need to win test matches.
So, we're seeing problems with both the bat and the ball. But this really begs the question, right? Are we just looking at a bad run of form, a temporary slump that'll sort itself out? Or are these on-field struggles just symptoms of a much deeper issue buried within the very foundations of Indian cricket?
To find that answer, we need to look past the pitch entirely and dig into the system that's actually producing these players. This is all about the weakening foundation, the domestic structure, and the massive transition the team is trying to navigate right now.
To really understand what's happening now, we have to look at the very recent past. That period between, say, 2015 and 2021. You could call that a golden era. It was defined by a super stable core of experienced players, a pace attack that was at its absolute peak, and really strong leadership. That's the benchmark that the current team, which is in a state of major transition, is constantly being judged against.
In this slide right here, this shows one of the biggest shifts at the very heart of the issue. The Ranji Trophy, the traditional four-day competition that forges test-level patience and technique, is seeing its importance just plummet. And in its place, the IPL, with its T20 focus on quick, explosive impact, has absolutely skyrocketed. This shift is fundamentally changing the skills that young players are choosing to prioritize.
Okay, now we're getting to the heart of the matter. The struggles on the field and that weakening foundation, they aren't just happening in a vacuum. To find the real root cause, we have to look at the off-field politics and the systemic flaws that are pulling all the strings from behind the scenes. We can break this all down into four major fault lines in the system: selection politics, the massive influence of the IPL, tricky internal team dynamics, and, of course, leadership instability. Let's unpack each one.
First up, selection politics. There's a widely held view that the policy is just all over the place. You see players getting dropped after just one or two bad matches, while at the same time, bigger names are often kept in the team despite poor form. A great IPL season often seems to count for more than a stellar Ranji Trophy season, which means some of the top domestic performers are just left on the sidelines.
And this quote, well, it just captures the skewed priorities perfectly. A player can grind it out for an entire domestic season, score 1,000 runs, prove their test-level skill, and then get completely overlooked for someone who had a spectacular 3-week run in the IPL. And that leads directly to this, a massive power shift. For a lot of players, Test cricket is becoming a risk. Why? Because an injury could jeopardize a hugely lucrative IPL contract. The IPL is increasingly seen as the #1 career priority, and that inevitably shifts the focus and the preparation away from the longer format of the game. Then, on top of all that, you hear reports of internal friction. Things like player groups forming factions, or rifts between a coach and a captain. Now look, this stuff happens in a lot of teams, but these issues become so much more damaging when the team is already under pressure and the results aren't there, just adding another layer of instability to the whole situation.
Okay, so how does all this off-field drama and systemic politics actually translate into poor performances out there on the pitch? Let's connect the dots and see the direct cause and effect chain.
It's really like a domino effect. Inconsistent selection
That creates an unsettled, insecure team. The priority given to the IPL, that weakens Test technique and preparation. Neglecting domestic cricket, well, that shrinks the pool of Test-ready talent. And the constant leadership changes mean constant shifts in strategy. Each political issue knocks over another domino, and the final one to fall is the performance on the field.
So, when it all comes down to it, it's this. The inconsistent batting, the unbalanced bowling, these are not isolated problems. They are the direct results of that domino effect, one single, interconnected system where the priorities off the field are seriously undermining the excellence on it.
Which leaves us with a final, massive question. India still has some of the most brilliant individual cricketers in the world, no doubt about it. But as the system itself continues to falter, you have to wonder, for how much longer can that individual brilliance continue to paper over these ever-widening cracks?